off season, let's say lead up to Australia,
Yeah.
what was kind of the how do you guys break up, let's say with the fitness with the tennis, and kind of what were the hardest days for you in terms of training and those lead ups?
Yes. I think so. Let's say it's a 6 week block. I think first you're starting, I think it just kind of works like as a scale in a sense. Like first you're starting 90% fitness, 10% tennis. And then like,
90% fitness.
I mean, I would sometimes come and not hit for the first 10 days, right?
Wow.
When I would come, like it was all about like getting your body ready. I was always also very lucky in the sense of like I didn't need to play much to kind of just like get to like my baseline level, and then everything else was kind of a plus. But then you would get to probably by the end of that 6 week training block, it would be 75% tennis, 25% fitness.
Okay.
So that was like the scale. And for me, always the toughest was like week 3, week 4, because the what it's not like you do that exact, like let's say the first week you're doing about like 4 hours total like volume of like training. It's not like when you get to like week 3, week 4 where it might be 50-50 that you're doing 2 hours of tennis, 2 hours fitness. No, you're doing like 3 hours on court, 3 to 4 hours in the gym. So
A day.
week, yeah, it's long
Really?
days. Like I remember there was a long period of time, like we would start in the gym. It was like 8:30 meeting on the track in Monaco. We weren't done or stopping till 1, everything we did. Like
Wow.
you just go straight through that whole period of time. It's not all full intensity. It's impossible to go like 100%, but you're doing the little things that make a difference. You're doing all your mobility work. You're doing like the warm up properly. You're getting through it. But it was like, I knew that for those 5 hours or whatever it is, 4.5 hours, I could focus and do all the things right. And I mean, then when you say like, hey, can you focus and play a 4 hour match? I mean, and this is all without adrenaline. This is when you're tired. This is when you could probably think of a thousand other things you'd rather be doing. But it makes the other things a lot easier. But yeah, week 3, week 4, like I didn't snap many rackets in my career, but I would say broke a lot more rackets. It was always during practice because you're just a little bit tired. You're
Yeah.
spent. You're not making the progress. You're like, I'm doing all this. How am I missing these shots? And you just, out of pure fatigue, you just like end up going in the corner and something breaks. And it's kind of that moment like that it's just like a little trigger like, hey, that's normal. Like, hey, you've been like redlining it for a couple of weeks. It's normal to get to this point.
What's the toughest cardio? Because I seen you do some of the Versa climber. Are you ever on the
Yeah.
track? Like, what's the toughest workout you ever done?
Um, I think for me, it was really 400s, like
Hate them.
400. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That like I could just think of a lot of other things that I'd rather do.
Yeah.
Um,
Brutal.
yeah, 400s would be it. That I mean, it all depends, like 2 to 1 rest, whatever you do, but those were like the ones like, okay, I can see why I'm doing this. Let's just get through this. Like, I'm not going to enjoy a single moment of this, but like, let's just get this done. And
Get it
I
done.
hope I don't have to do this till next week. And
Yeah.
I don't want to think about it once, but those are the most, I would say, the
And
most, the ones that made me the most nervous or
Okay.
the most unpleasant.
Yeah.
and reflecting on the preseasons, like what you just described in terms of the training block, obviously everyone's different, but would you do you believe that that's roughly the way it's supposed to be done, like the amount of hours that's needed to be spent on court for a preseason in a pro's career? Like how many weeks
No,
would you recommend and how many hours? Like what adjustments would you make? Like if you could redo it again?
from my end, I wouldn't change the things I've done, but I don't know if that would necessarily apply to everybody. I mean, Roger was is like notorious in the stories you'd hear about the players going out to train with him, right? Where he'd start with one player, do like an hour and a half session or an hour with them or both of them together. One player would stay on, he would play with them, then the other player would come back because they would be getting tired, and he'd go like through like different forms of like hiring these guys out while he was building his capacity. So I think everybody's different in that sense. But for me, all those times I was tired and I would just be like, okay, I'm doing this. I kind of just like getting through this. I got to put my head down. Like this will pay off. This will pay off. It all just like fifth set Australia. I was like, hey, I did. all the work. Like, I don't know if the person on the other side did. I know I did. And that would just ease me, right? I'd just be a little bit more calm in those moments. Like, I wouldn't have the stress of like, okay, is this going to catch up to me? Am I ready for this moment? And just that was like the thing that just gave me that assurance and that confidence in those critical moments in matches. And mind you, like very early on in my career, like I cut it down to like 16 tournaments. I never even played the full 18. I always knew that those practice weeks meant a lot to me. I think till about maybe 24 years old, I would play 3 weeks in a row. But then after 24, I was like, forget it. 2 weeks is my limit because I wasn't never having the results I wanted. I was never good at like going to tournaments, even though like you'd have those like days off in between, like shutting it down and like being able to actually recover on those days. Like when I was in a tournament, I was just like in it the whole time. So I would just be more mentally spent by that third week. So I was like,
So
okay, if three
the
doesn't
two
work
week
for you.
events must be so challenging for you then.
I mean, yeah, but they are, and I'm sure it would add up like if I was doing them full time now, like in that sense, but I haven't just been on tour to do them. But
Yeah.
hopefully but that like I always had trouble with the perfect example was that I always had trouble with the Miami part of the Indian Wells Miami swing. Because as much as people tell you like, hey, you have those few days, you're a seed, there's 5 days in between, finishing in Indian Wells, starting up in Miami. The day you showed up to the site in Miami, you felt like you were part of that tournament, right? The tournament doesn't start the day you play your first match. So that to me, I was never that great at just like posting through those moments. And that's why I always had to kind of eke closer to like a pretty light schedule to get the best out of myself.
And then when you said that, the amount of hours you spent doing fitness and training in preseason, that you had those flashbacks in the best of fives, like fifth set Australia, whatever. So if slams or if all of the tournaments you played were best of three and not best of five, do you think you would have spent more time like building skill and working on the tennis aspect of your game, or you think it would be similar in terms of your fitness?
I think I
Thanks for watching this clip. If you want to watch the full episode, the link is in the description down below.